Alert. The fastest way to die underground is to treat a cave like a normal place. These cases show how fear actually starts, how it escalates, and what the camera often captures right before things go wrong. Start with the setting. A group explores an abandoned gold mine in the desert. On video, it looks like a simple tunnel, almost like a hallway. That familiarity is the trap. Old mines are not empty spaces, they are rotting structures. Timber supports dry out and crack, ceilings flake, and rock that has been sitting loose for decades can be knocked free. One loud impact, a dropped pack, even repeated footsteps can trigger falling debris. That is why experienced explorers move quietly, not for drama, but because vibration is a real input into a brittle, forgotten system. Then comes the first visual shock, something reflective on the ground. They step closer and realize it is a shoe. Then more shoes, a whole pile. Shoes scattered and stacked like someone dumped them, with bones mixed in. A shoe pile is not a natural cave feature, so the brain immediately tries to solve it. Who put them there? Why here? When? That mental puzzle is why this footage pulls people in. It forces the viewer to keep scanning the frame for answers, and it makes the explorers stop and linger. So what could actually be happening, from most sensational to most realistic? First, the story people jump to. A crime scene, trophies, someone luring victims underground. It spreads fast because it feels complete. It explains everything at once, but it is still a theory, and theories are not proof. Second, misidentification. Bones on camera feel obvious, but scale is hard to judge underground. Animal bones can look human in low light. Shadows distort shape, and wide lenses exaggerate size. When a situation already feels sinister, viewers default to human without realizing it. Third, water movement and dumping. Mines collect debris. Rainwater and runoff move downhill and stall in low points. If there is surface dumping nearby, repeated floods can drag shoes and trash into the mine and stack them where the tunnel dips. Bones can enter the same way, or be left by animals that drag food into sheltered spaces. Fourth, staged content. Some viewers notice red flags, bones that look too clean, shoes that seem oddly placed, sizes that do not match the story being told. The point is not to accuse, the point is to explain why mystery attracts views, but inconsistencies attract scrutiny. End this part with the real lesson. The horror is not just what is on the floor, it is that the mine itself is unstable. Every extra minute spent investigating raises collapse exposure without anyone noticing the trade being made. Now shift to a different nightmare. Not a creepy discovery, a single decision. Two experienced cave explorers enter a known system and push toward a section famous for tight, confusing routes. The cave starts wide, then compresses into crawls and squeezes. As passages tighten, your body position becomes a constraint. You cannot stand, you cannot turn easily, you cannot move fast if something changes. They reach a muddy room with a narrow drop and multiple routes. This is where maze caves become dangerous. Tunnels look identical. Mud erases footprints. When you lose line of sight with your partner, you lose your fastest safety system, voice and proximity. Here is the critical moment. One brother goes ahead to find the correct entrance. The other stays back as a safety measure. Minutes pass. The one who went ahead calls out. No answer. That's the flip. Exploration becomes a search problem. The failure mode follows a pattern. First, you assume they're close and you keep moving. Second, you take a wrong branch because many branches feel right. Third, fatigue builds. Mud slows you. Breathing rises. Fourth, stress narrows attention and you stop noticing small markers. Fifth, panic makes you rush, and rushing in a cave leads to falls, jams, and getting wedged. What fixes this is not luck, it's an anchor, a piece of tape, a scuff pattern, a familiar rock edge, anything that proves you are on a known path. In maze caves, tiny markers separate a route from a loop. That is why separating, even briefly, multiplies risk. Two people do not become safer by splitting. They become two separate emergencies. And in a tube crawl, when movement is restricted and water is involved, stuck can quietly turn into drowning.
Now move to the most brutal upgrade of danger: water. A group enters a cave network and reaches a narrow section called a tube crawl. A tube crawl forces you onto your stomach. You cannot widen your stance, you cannot rotate easily, and you cannot reverse quickly once you commit. Movement is not about strength here, it is about body shape and friction. Add water and the threat changes completely. In a dry squeeze, you can stop, slow your breathing, and think. In a wet squeeze, the airspace can shrink, water can rise, and your margin becomes minutes instead of options. One caver follows behind the smallest member. He reaches the tightest point and becomes stuck from the waist down. That sounds simple, but mechanically it is a trap. Stuck means your hips wedge because bone is wider than the gap. Your chest cannot expand fully, so breathing becomes shallow. Every push increases friction and locks you harder. Stress makes you inhale faster, which makes your body feel bigger, which makes movement worse. And if your legs are pinned, you lose controlled leverage and are left straining with your arms and chest. This is why pulling back works better than pushing forward. When you push, you drive your body into the narrowest point and increase the wedge. When you pull back, you move toward the wider space you already passed, reducing pressure and friction. That is why real rescues focus on reversing, not forcing. The core principle is simple. In wet caves, the problem is not fear, it is time. Water turns discomfort into a countdown. The next case begins with danger at the entrance. Someone finds a deep pit cave on private land. A pit entrance changes everything because gravity becomes the main threat. You do not walk into a pit, you descend, and every movement depends on rope, anchors, and controlled technique. Once inside, the cave opens into a large drop and chasm. The explorers notice scattered bones, including fragments that look like skull. They also find old ropes and harness remnants, evidence that others were here long before. There are realistic explanations, moving from simple to complex. First, natural falls. A person or animal falls in, cannot climb out, and dies. Over time, water and small shifts scatter the bones. Second, repeated accidents. If the entrance is hidden and vertical, more than one fall over decades is plausible, especially on land with a history of exploration. Third, intentional placement. In some regions, caves have cultural history, including burials or ceremonial use, which explains remains deeper inside, rather than only at the base. When something is this shocking, people assume it is fake. The correct response is not arguing online, it is involving authorities and qualified experts. In this case, the reported determination is that the bones were human and very old, roughly 2,000 years. That matters because it changes the story. This is not a modern missing person mystery. It's a record of someone centuries ago ending up in darkness, possibly surviving the fall, possibly dying later while trying to find a way out. The horror becomes historical, not sensational. End with the most unforgiving environment: deep cave diving. A diver reaches extreme depth in a flooded sinkhole, finds the body of another diver who died years earlier, and decides to recover it for the family. This is not a normal dive. Every detail is planned around gas, time, and decompression. Deep cave diving is uniquely lethal. Pressure increases with depth and stresses equipment. Breathing gas is not just air, but carefully chosen mixes. Nitrogen narcosis impairs judgment, like intoxication. Decompression is mandatory, so you cannot rush to the surface. Visibility can vanish instantly if silt is disturbed. A recovery can fail without one dramatic mistake. The body behaves differently than expected and shifts the plan. Lines move, snag, or pull you into bad positions.
task loading spikes as you manage the body, the line, your position, your gauges, and your stress. Attention collapses under narcosis, and small checks are missed. Then entanglement becomes final because you cannot simply leave. Decompression blocks that option. This is why the footage feels unreal. It is not a monster, it's a chain of small mechanical problems that stack until there is no exit. Across all of these environments, the lesson is the same. They kill through physics, time, and small failures that add up faster than humans can recover.